It began with a van, a public park in Tallahassee, Florida, and 6 children who looked like they had stepped out of another world. It was February 1987, and police responding to a call found 2 well-dressed men watching over 6 unkempt children. The kids were dirty, barefoot, hungry. They spoke strangely and seemed confused by things as simple as a phone or a toilet. The men refused to explain who they were, and what began as a small-town police stop would soon unravel into one of the strangest investigations in modern American history, the story of the Finders cult. Welcome, step closer, for what you are about to hear lies between truth and secrecy. Tonight, we uncover the story of the Finders, a case built on reports, testimonies, and rumors of hidden power. Viewer discretion is advised, as these accounts are disturbing, disputed, and unsettling. Our goal is not to judge, but to explore what still lingers in the shadows. Now, let us open the files of the Finders cult. The Finders were founded in the late 1960s in Washington, D.C., by a man named Marion Petty. Petty was a former U.S. Air Force Master Sergeant, a man who surrounded himself with mystery. He called himself the Game Caller and saw life as an elaborate experiment. The Finders lived in shared homes around the capital, a commune of freethinkers, dreamers, and idealists. They practiced meditation, raised their children together, and shunned conventional work. Children were homeschooled, moved from caretaker to caretaker, taught through life experiences rather than books. To some, they were harmless eccentrics. To others, a secretive cult hidden in plain sight. And on February 4th, 1987, 2 Finders members, Douglas Ammerman and Michael Holwell, were found in Tallahassee's Myers Park with 6 children aged 2 to 11. Their van smelled foul, and inside, police found maps, books, fruit, and a filthy mattress. The men said they were teachers, leading the children to Mexico to start a school for gifted students. When asked where the mothers were, one replied calmly, "They're being weaned from their mothers." The men were arrested and charged with child abuse. The children were placed into state custody, and doctors examined them for signs of neglect or assault. One officer called it the most bizarre case I've ever seen, and soon, police in Washington, D.C. recognized the names. They'd been quietly monitoring the Finders for years, and now they had probable cause to act. Within days, search warrants were executed at 2 Finders properties in D.C. The results stunned investigators. Hundreds of photographs were seized, some showing children, some showing animal sacrifices. Agents also found documents discussing child acquisition, international travel, and coded messages. One U.S. Customs agent later testified that the material included photos of children in chains and rituals involving blood and animals. The media exploded. Newspapers labeled the Finders a satanic cult. TV anchors spoke of bloodletting ceremonies and child trafficking rings. Across America, it fed perfectly into the growing satanic panic of the 1980s. But when the children's mothers, also members of the Finders, arrived in Florida, the story began to change. They said the trip was meant to teach the kids survival skills. They said the men were caretakers, and the children were being raised in a communal way. The goat sacrifice photos? They claimed it was an educational lesson about farming and food. And after weeks of investigation, no physical evidence of abuse or trafficking was found. The medical exams were inconclusive. No one came forward as a victim. By March, the charges were dropped, the children were returned to their mothers, and the official statement read simply, abnormal but not criminal. Still, investigators were uneasy. The photos, the coded notes, the secrecy, none of it made sense. And that's when things got even stranger. In 1993, a U.S. Customs report resurfaced, written by Agent Ramon Martinez. It described how, back in 1987, D.C. police suddenly shut down the Finders' investigation, claiming it had become a CIA internal matter. Martinez was told all files on the finders were now classified and he was ordered to stop asking questions. This memo sent shockwaves through Washington. Two congressmen, Tom Lewis and Charlie Rose, demanded answers. Why would a small cult case be sealed as an intelligence issue? Theories exploded. Some said the finders were a CIA front, used to train agents or run covert operations. Adding to the mystery, Marion Petty's wife had once worked for the CIA, and his son for Air America, a known agency airline during the Vietnam War. To the public, it looked like a cover-up, so the Department of Justice investigated and reported back a year later. They found no proof of CIA involvement. The confusion, they said, came from a company, Future Enterprises, where some finders members had worked, doing computer training for intelligence agencies. The official conclusion: no conspiracy, no cover-up, but the damage was done. The phrase CIA internal matter would follow the finders forever. Marion Petty died in 2003, insisting the finders were simply a learning game, a social experiment that outsiders misunderstood. Then in 2019, the FBI declassified hundreds of pages on the case. The documents detailed the raids, the interviews, the evidence, and confirmed what authorities had said all along. No proof of trafficking or ritual abuse was ever found. Still, there were peculiar details, references to foreign travel, coded telex messages, and references to operations abroad. For many conspiracy researchers, those details were enough to keep the mystery alive. Today, the finders are remembered as a reflection of the 1980s, an era when fear, rumor, and secrecy collided. To some, they were misunderstood outsiders. To others, they were part of something far darker, hidden beneath the surface. Officially, the case was closed, but unofficially, it never really ended. The photos, the children, the chilling phrase, CIA internal matter, they still linger like ghosts. And were the finders merely a harmless commune, a forgotten intelligence experiment, or something far more sinister? Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between, buried in the space between government secrecy and public fear. Because in stories like this, it's not always what was found, but what was never explained that haunts us the most. Thank you for venturing beyond the veil with us. If you enjoyed the video, then subscribe and join the Watchers. The shadows have more secrets to reveal. Until next time.